Hey guys, we're here on Beauty Cares. I'm Samantha. I work at the Aveda Institute Madison. I'm an instructor there and also the team lead of cosmetology and barbering. I'm on here first to introduce Sarah. Sarah has spent the last 9 years behind the chair as an Aveda stylist in a lifestyle salon. Sarah is recognized as one of Boston's best bridal hairstylists in 2016 and named a finalist in Behind the Chair hashtag one shot editorial category. She focuses on empowering stylists with organized, accessible, updo education within the Aveda network and beyond. So we are more than thrilled to invite Sarah on our hashtag Beauty Cares.
Hi, you guys. I'm Sarah Naslund, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in June, I think. But I'm so pumped that while we're all kind of cooped up at home, that I could connect with you guys and meet you a little bit beforehand. So I'm Sarah Naslund, and I work in an Aveda lifestyle salon. I work about 3 days a week behind the chair, so I still do cutting and coloring and all of that. And then I have my own bridal on-site styling business, which kind of keeps me busy. And then on the weekends, I'm part of the North American Artistic Team, and I travel education all over North America, hopefully more places sooner, but so far just North America. I'm trying to get that ticket to Australia, but right now I don't have any jobs, but we'll have more jobs soon. So I'm going to show you guys a half updo because what I kind of anticipate happening is I have like weddings canceling right now because obviously, and I think that a lot of people are going to have to kind of pull it together to be able to do updos because we're going to need your help because I can't do all the reschedules. And I think that kind of getting you guys prepped now is going to be perfect. And I also think that even if you're still in school, right when you get out, like what tends to happen is you do kind of get thrown into the updo world because you're available. And a lot of people decide early on that they don't feel like doing it. So this will be a perfect way to start making money behind the chair pretty immediately, which is awesome. So, okay, I'm going to show you guys a half updo, and my face is not going to be in it, but myself will be. So here's my girl, Nadine. Oh, so we're going to do a half updo, and then we're going to transition her to a whole updo because sometimes that happens. So I gave her shampoo today. I used my very expensive Damage Remedy daily Damage Remedy conditioner on her because she really kind of needed it. And then I kind of blew her out with a little bit of the Brilliant Universal Styling Cream. Because she was getting kind of ratty. And then I just kind of like pre-curled a lot of her because when it comes to a half updo, like you can't get away with not curling it, even though it's kind of like not my thing. Like I don't usually like to curl the whole head, but when it comes to half updo, you have no choice. So I'll show you my sectioning real quick. Well, actually, let me show you this first. Okay, so when it comes to volume, here's her face. Here's her beautiful face. When it comes to volume, it's not about how much you backcomb. It's about where the placement of your sectioning is. So basically, if you want to see height from the front, that hair that you backcomb has to come from the top of the head. So if you section a little bit too far back, this hair is just going to get kind of big this way. It's not going to get big this way. And I think when people ask for volume, they actually want to see it, but their eyes are down here. So for them to be able to see volume that's up here, it kind of has to be like a little bit higher so they can actually see it. So the way that you kind of figure that out is you can put the comb on the top of the head. And so, this is the top. This is the apex. If you section the front away from the back, any further behind the top of the head, you won't see volume from the front. So you kind of like figure out where's the top. Okay, here's the top. And then I would do a zigzag section, which I already have. Let me see if I can, piece from my back. a little zigzag section so it's not super regular, because what happens is, you know, when we're doing all this like color and cutting, like the sections are so perfect. But when it comes to styling, you don't want a lot of lines. So same thing over here. Let's see. Here's the top of the head, kind of zigzag it away. And I did pre-section this for you guys. But I would just be kind of like taking my comb and going like this. And I like to use duckbill clips because you probably already have like a million of them and they don't leave marks in the hair. So if I put one there, if I put it here, you know, it's not going to leave like a big mark in the hair. Okay. So you can see that I did not curl this already because I'm going to create some volume up here. And my cat's going to meow any moment. He's a very loud meower. So he's going to sound like he's in pain, but he's fine. So when you are creating volume in the hair, do you see how this is like kind of like a rounded section? You should be able to put your hands around the section. So you should be able to kind of put your hands around it. If you can't fit your fingers around it, then likely your section is too big. This should be less than half of the back of the head, and it should be well above the occipital. So my occipital is about here, and then you want to be above occipital. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little zigzag section. Clip this away. You're going to elevate, over direct, and you're going to back comb. So when you back comb, you want to use a comb, first of all. Comb, get it, back comb. So you're going to elevate, over direct, put a comb through. See how it's like fully through? And then push. And so if you back comb and nothing happens, it's just like, oh, sorry, nothing happens, you would add a grip product. So something I would add is like air control. Where is it? But you can kind of see she's got a little bit of kind of like texture going on. So I don't need to add anything for now. And then you're going to flat iron your back comb. And then let it chill, like literally let it chill. Let's see. I'm hooked up in wires over here. Okay. I'm going to show you from the other side. So her face is here. And I'm creating volume in the hair. And if you're short, I would stand here because it's really hard to back comb on this side or to push it forward and back comb when you're standing behind. So if you can't reach it, you have her like look way down. That will bring the top to you. So elevate, over direct, put your comb all the way through and push. And then you flat iron right over the top of that back comb. So we're setting the back comb in place. You'll kind of notice that if you just back comb and then you try to brush over it, you're kind of brushing over this like hard rock of hair, and it doesn't look cool and effortless. It looks like, I don't know, some sort of like 80s prom situation or 90s prom situation. So this will give like more of that elevate or effortless and very chill look. And then you can also create texture on it. So literally let it chill. So the very last section, I would do nothing to that because otherwise you're going to get this texture showing through. You're going to take your mini paddle brush. It's so cute. And you're going to brush out your back comb 100% completely. I would brush up because that's how you're encouraging the hair to be. And you see how I'm getting that volume? And it's super effortless and chill. So because I backcombed, I flat ironed, and I brushed out completely, I have like this volume that I want, but also I can do anything to it. Like if I want to braid this, I can braid it. If I want to curl it, I can curl it. I'm just kind of looking at some of the, this is a good mannequin. This mannequin's probably about $200. But you can curl it if you want to curl it. So the idea is that, let's see, what do you prefer to curl with? What are your go-to products for updos? Okay. I'm going to try to get to some questions while we're doing it, and I'll get to all the rest at the ends. So texture and volume are two completely different things because volume is a shape and a largeness, and you can do shape and largeness in curly and you can do it in straight. So when you are doing your technique for volume, you cannot curl for volume, you curl for texture, you do a technique for volume. So this is our technique for volume. And then I'm just going to kind of go over this section because I want it to match the rest of it. So I'm using a flat iron to curl. The big advantage to using a flat iron to curl is that, let me see, I lost my comb. Here we go. You get to keep the length because it's not like super bouncy. It's more like wavy and chill. So you won't take the length away, especially if you have somebody that really doesn't have a lot of length. You really don't want to sacrifice that to the curl because curl makes hair shorter. So if I wanted a little bit more curl, I might, use a curling iron or a curling wand. But when I'm curling with the flat iron, this is a T3. I like it. I got it at the Nordstrom rack. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3 rotations and then push down. And don't like clamp the ever living life out of it. Like let it be chill. So my go-to products for updos definitely depend on the hair. So I don't know if you can like really see like her hair I use her a lot. Like this is my same mannequin that I use a lot on the road. So I tend to use a lot of smoothing products, but I think it's like, what do you want your end result to be? So, and what is the hair giving you? So if I was doing somebody's hair and like mine, right? I've got obviously an entire head of lightener. So if I add grip products, so any kind of grip product would be a product that adds hold to the hair. So it's hairspray, it's gel, it's mousse. That's going to continue to add grip and hold to the hair, but I already have a lot of grip in my hair because of color. So if you have an over, like too much grip, that's when it ends up being fuzzy. Like everybody always uses hairspray for updos, but then what's their number one issue? Flyaways, right? If you have flyaways and you add hairspray, like you're just gonna tell the flyaways like stay where you are. So if I had hair that was like super healthy, just like thick, like wants to have a relationship with the floor, like it's just like super floppy, I would then maybe use a product that has grip because that's what you lack. So it's kind of like in color, like in color, it's like you get the natural remaining pigment and it's like you either like it or you don't like it. So you have to deal with what you have and you can choose to enhance, neutralize, or refine. So it's the same in updos. Like for this hair, because I shampooed her today and I gave her a nice blow dry with the Brilliant Universal Styling Cream. I'll be able to put a little bit of extra grip or hairspray into her because she's nice and soft and clean. I think that if you had too much grip, you would want to neutralize it with slip or go the other way. Does that kind of make sense? Anybody can hold a curl, but not everybody will keep a curl. So if I had somebody, so I think there was a question, how do I handle hair types that don't hold a curl? First I ask them, does your hair hold a curl? Because then they give me the answer. It's like, if I asked you, does your hair hold a curl? And then you say no, and your hair doesn't hold a curl, it's not magic. One thing that I would do is add a product that has hold. So things that I love is like if you put emollient on dry hair, because grip products hold different on dry hair than they do in wet hair because they don't have the water to dilute them. So if you put a grip product like hairspray or volumizing tonic or thickening tonic or emollient, or one thing that I love is the men's liquid pomade is awesome in dry hair, like a little bit, right? Run that through. And then, when you curl, you have some hold in there. So it's like, why did you flat iron your back comb? Because that is setting when I flat iron my back comb, that's what sets the volume. So then I can still have volume and I can still move this around. You see all those videos, they're all like, you can't do that if you have a hard rock right there. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of loosely come at this, just because I don't want to fully break up that curl yet. Let's see. How do you get a lot of half updo requests or whole updos? People are going to want a half updo because they like their hair down, but they want something fancy. Okay, you're going to take your fingers. You're going to make a crown. You're going to go right on her crown section. Here it is. Here's the crown. And then you're going to zigzag that section out. So it's basically the same section that we just back comb, flat iron, brushed out completely. So I don't know if you can see. It's like hard. Do you see how I'm getting like a lot of like maybe flyaways? Can you see it? I don't know if you can see the flyaways. So if I'm getting like a little bit messy, I'm going to go with a slip product. So I'm going to use the heat relief because it's actually a slip product. And that will kind of smooth that section down. And then I'm just going to take 2 little duckbill clips. And hold it together. What happens a lot of times is people like start with a ponytail right here, but you notice if you start with a ponytail right there, all of the density of the hair is in the middle, and then you have 2 like thin and dark spots. So if you pin this going across the back, it's going to fill in this whole space. So we're going to use bobby pins, and bobby pins are only strong when they're closed. So if you have pins in your updo that are open, it's not a strong pin and it's going to want to come out. So the idea is to try to keep the pins as closed as possible, but we want to connect them. So if you connect your bobby pins in an X, one is actually open. If you want them connected, but you want them to both be closed, you're going to connect them more like a V. Let's see, space. So this way they're both actually closed and they're connected and strong. So what you're going to do to create a row or spine or backbone of pins, you're going to take your pin. You're going to open it, hold it in the middle. You're going to press on the head, insert your pin, close it, slide it across. Let's see. I don't know if getting closer is helpful. Let's see. What comb are you using? No, clean, dry hair. Don't let them bring their dirty hair to you. It's gross. Second thing is I have product that makes the hair exactly how I want it. I don't want their natural product, oil from their scalp, to be kind of messing with my hair. So clean, dry hair. Second thing, what kind of comb are you using? I got this comb at Sally's. It is approximately $2. It's the best comb ever. And then, is your flat iron on high heat for creating curls? For her, yes, because she's a mannequin, but I consider, like, would you use the same ironing setting on all of your clothes? Some would melt. So I would adjust the temperature of the hot tool for every single person. So see how I'm hooking onto my previous pin? And then my last one is going to go the opposite way to seal it. And then you can take these guys out. And I don't know if you guys can see that really. So if you want more volume, all you do is kind of take your comb and pull up a little bit. If you want to get a little bit of texture, you can take your little pinchers, start in the middle, and work your way out. And then you work your way up. So if this was a big ball of flat iron or a back comb, you wouldn't be able to pinch or adjust this at all. So to kind of set this a little bit, I would use a grip product. When you're kind of like between, like, I would say you're between like these ones, Air Control will leave a film. Brilliant, which I'm like down to like the littlest amount, but the Brilliant hairspray is actually going to make it piecey, shiny, and a little bit more polished. So that's kind of what I would do. Yeah, I hold the bobby pins just so that, like, because you're basically flossing the hair between the bottom where it's free and the top where it's not, because the bobby pins are holding it in place. So I would kind of like give the bobby pins a hold. So I'm not moving the bobby pins around. I just want to be moving that hair around. Okay, so I parted our girl in the middle just because it makes everything like super even. But if you had a side part, you would start on the heavy side. So I'm going to release the front. And, you know, a lot of people don't know exactly what they want when it comes to an updo. Let's see, I'm checking it on time. Oh, doing good on time. So they're going to be kind of making decisions as you're doing it. So it kind of sucks because you want to be able to just do it, but they don't know things. So you have to ask, you're having a big question and conversation while you're working. Like, do you like this? Do you not like this? If I do this, are you going to like it? And also be prepared for the fact that like, they're going to say, yes, I want that. And then they're going to say, well, actually, no, I don't. So, I mean, it's part of life. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to start like, do you want to have hair down in the front? Right. So if she wants to have hair down in the front, I would say like, oh, like this much. And she's like, I don't know, that's a lot. It's too much. So then you're like, maybe like this much. Okay, she'll start there, you know, kind of whatever it is. So just kind of choose. And, you know, if I know that she asked for this much, like, and then maybe she wants to pin that back later, my feelings aren't hurt. Here's your sectioning. You're going to do a diagonal forward section. So from the center out down to the recession. It's like bangs. And you're going to start with the top first. Always start with the shortest hair first. Because guess what? If I start down here, like where am I going to put this? It's short. If this only reaches to here because it was bangs that's been growing out, I have all of this hair to cover up all of my bobby pins. So the other thing is, for people getting a half updo, you don't really know where the half is. Like, is it here? You know, like this could be their half updo. You know, or maybe you can take a little bit extra. You know, this is their half updo. Or maybe this is their half updo. Or maybe they even kind of take it back a little bit. So you want to be able to kind of do it incrementally so that you don't run out of time and you can kind of stop where they want it. So my first section will be diagonal forward. Let's see okay. And then I like to pin it, like that way you can say, do you like it? Like, cause they're looking at themselves. You can rock all this in the back, but to them an updo is this. If you like nail the front, they will forgive all of this. Let's see. Do you like working with hair accessories? Yeah, because it's like extra fun if a client came in with the image of what she wants. Back and forth. So the question is like, if she came in with an image, I think it just depends if it works for her. Is it possible, first of all? And is it going to look good on her? Like, I always buy a pencil, like anytime I've ever bought a pencil skirt in my whole life, I'm like looking at the girl online. She looks so super cute. I think I'm going to look like that, but I don't. I look like weird dress up office 80s lady, right? Like even I've got like friends, they wear like cute, like ripped up, you know, tied in the front band t-shirts and like Converse, and they've got their like pencil skirt. Like I just look ridiculous. And people will come in like that, like, cause Pinterest is like, you know, giving them all these ideas. And they think that they want it because it looks good online. But then when you put that outfit on, it doesn't really work. So if they did come in with dirty hair, would you wash it? It depends, because sometimes it is too dirty to style. And the option would be to do a sleeker style or add a blow dry. So do a blow dry and an updo, or just do the blow dry. It depends on what you have time for. It's a hard one. The thing is, dirty hair is better is so 90s. Like, think about how it worked in the 90s. First of all, grunge, right? Your hair is dirty. You're living that grunge life. And then when it came time for prom, which first of all, nobody wants 90s updo prom anymore. What we would do is we would slick it up with all that dirt into a ponytail, subdivide a piece out, spray it with hairspray, curl it until the sizzle stops, then take your curling iron out, spray it again, and it's like super crunchy, and then slap it back into the ponytail. So think about like how you wear your hair when it's dirty. Is that what is trending? Like, it's not. Like effortless, beautiful. Like I just put my hair up to wash my face and it looks like a beautiful updo. Have you ever had a client ask for a style you couldn't do? I've been at it for a little while. So again, how we're going to work this is we have this pin. We're going to replace it with our bobby pin and then release. And then I'm going to look for my comb. Okay. And then second side. Diagonal forward. It's basically like bangs. Kind of bring it back to wherever it reaches. Pin it where you like it. That way you can kind of adjust and you can even like walk around because you're kind of tacking it down. You guys ever sew? Like when you sew, you don't just take two pieces of fabric, you smash them together and like run them through the sewing machine. You take your straight pins and then you kind of hold it together with something. So this is kind of like the pin that holds it together. How do I keep up on trends? Well, social media is here for us, right? So I think it's like cool because before it's like we used to have these like ugly magazines with these like weirdo hairstyles and you're like, you know, giving them to your guests and your guest is like, I don't want that. And you're like, good, because I'm not going to do that because it's ugly. So, I mean, I definitely like will pretend to be a bride or pretend to be like a bridesmaid or a prom girl. And I think, what would they Google in Pinterest? And I go in and I Google that because guess what? That's where they're looking. If I know where they're looking, I can anticipate what they're going to ask for so I can prepare. I spend, probably, I would say $2,000 a year on education for myself, just to kind of keep up. So, you know, I always try to take some styling, a lot of business lately. And then, you know, sometimes I'll do haircut and color. I was supposed to go to hair camp, but that got canceled because April. I have a couple of people that come with me, and they're trained by me. I've got my girl Danielle and my girl Katie. And then sometimes like they'll do like whole updos. Sometimes they'll do like half updos. Oh, look, the sun came out. And then sometimes they'll just prep by doing like curling if I need curling, and like the back comb, flat iron, brush out completely, sectioning kind of thing. Okay, so if this is exactly how she wants it and the front is how she wants it, right, we would have to like cover these pins up. So you could take like a little piece from right here and you can kind of cover it this way. But I'm going to kind of continue onward. So depending on, you know, your person, you got to think like some people like hair in front of the ear. So you would kind of take a diagonal this way. Let's see, do a real diagonal. So I still have hair in front of the ear. And I'm going to come back like this. And this like helps me to make sure that she likes it from the front, because she's still like looking from a mirror, looking at a mirror. Even if she's not looking at a mirror, she's probably like looking at herself in her phone. Is there a technique that you're going to do while doing updos that you are your go-to? My go-to is back comb, flat iron, brush out completely. So then I'm going to start twisting this across those pins. And it's going to look like a worm. And that's okay. I'm getting tacked down here. I'm going to stab this across the grain of the hair. You really do need to kind of get down. Stab this. See how it's like it would stay even if I took my hand off, and then cross the grain of the hair. And then usually once in the middle, stab, cross the grain. And this is free to go. Can you guys see okay since the sun came out? And then if you want, you can kind of pinch this apart a little bit. But when I pinch it apart, it starts to become unstable. So that's when I would come back to a grip product. And notice I started at the end and I worked my way this way. Then if I want more, so I'm going to do the same thing on the second side. Diagonal forward, so I still get some of that ear coverage because people are weird. I'm going to bring 3 pins over with me. I can tack it down so that way she knows exactly what she's going to look like in the front. And then you can twist this around. You can go over, you can go under, it doesn't matter. So, and see how it's like so wormy? Like, because it hasn't pulled it out yet. So you're going to get down to the scalp and then cross the grain of the hair. So consider all of the grain of the hair is running this way. So when my bobby pin crosses the grain of the hair, I'm like hooking into the most hairs, right? So all the hairs are coming this way, and then my bobby pin is crossing. So I'm hooking into the most hairs as opposed to kind of if I was going whichever way. So I'm coming over here, I'm getting down to that scalp, and then I'm crossing the grain of the hair. And it holds because you're making a circle when you twist it. So you're kind of getting like in the middle of that to be able to get all those hairs. And then one in the middle. So I think about if I was going to tack a poster on the wall, I would want to tack the corner, and then also the middle. So when I'm tacking this hair across the head, I want to tack the corner, and also in the middle. And so now I can kind of come over here and start to pull that apart. So this is like 80% of bridesmaids. Sometimes it's a braid. And see how this is feeling a little floppy to me? I can add another pin. Silky hair, use grip products. If it's already giving you smooth and slip, you have to counterbalance it with grip. I can take this guy out. And if this makes you feel weird, I'm going to show you a little trick. And I'm going to check on time for myself. Okay, doing pretty good. This is a topsy tail. You can just pop that right on down through. So if you feel like you need a little bit more structure to hold this, that's when I would come to hairpins. So you're going to get a lot of different advice in your career. In my opinion, there is no one correct way. It's the way that works for you or whoever is like offering you the advice. So I start with bobby pins when I'm putting something, when I'm trying to hold something to the scalp, and then when I'm trying to create structure or give hold or support within the updo. So this would be the updo. That's when I move to hairpins. A lot of people are vice versa. In the end, like, you guys are your own person, so try stuff out, and like, if it works, like, works for you, like, that's the way that is the correct way. There's no correct way to do anything. There is advice, there's experience, and I'm offering it to you. So it's kind of like today, like, I'm cooking you guys dinner. So today you're eating what I'm what I'm cooking, but when you borrow my like recipe, like, you don't have to do it exactly how I do it. So that's kind of like how I feel about styling. So I'm going to continue going down the updo world for this. So, you could have had, pieces, whatever. I'm going to take the last kind of piece. So that's the side piece. So if it's getting messy, if it's getting, sticky, add a slip product like the heat relief. If it's floppy, if it's too silky, add a grip product like air control. So, and if you have somebody that doesn't have that much hair, these are the cutest. They're like little shorties. I get all my pins at Sally's. They're the Meta Grip pins. They're awesome. They stay forever. They're strong. Pin to the scalp, across the grain. Good here. If you want one in the middle, to the scalp, across the grain. You can pull it out a little bit. So you can see it's kind of just like the same thing over and over again, which makes it seem complicated, but really it's not. Got my clip. To the scalp, across the grain. To the scalp, across the grain. To the scalp, across the grain. And then you can pull it apart a little bit. And you have to kind of find your inner esthetician and just like pick at it. Yeah, so I do work with extensions. How do I reduce frizz? Add slip. If her hair is frizzy, if the hair is frizzy, I would be using control paste. Even though it's a grip product, technically it does have a slip to it. I would be using the humectant pomade. And if these were too heavy for somebody, I will be using the heat relief because it's like super light. And then if they had hair that was super silky, I would kind of go into air control, texture tonic. And then if you were really feeling crazy, control force. Okay, let's see. Do you like working with extensions? Where do you seek? Yes, I do work with extensions. I love the Sally's extensions. And here's the thing. If your guest does not have extensions and they're thinking about using extensions, you can send them to Sally's and they can like match their color on the spot. And I tell them go a little bit lighter in terms of like picking their color because I can always, I wouldn't really color them all over. I would usually low light or do like a toner. So then it's like really easy for them and they don't have to make like a huge investment. Also, the Sally's the Weft, I'll show you. So this is the Sally's extensions that I covered with colored with vibrance. You can actually see like it's almost like a tape-in, like how like flat that is, even though it is a clip-in. So I think like these are great. So you could always put those in first, and I think I've got some on my Instagram. Oh yeah, follow my big hair day, where you can see these exact extensions in this literal updo. Okay, so you've got this boho situation going on. If you wanted to turn this into a whole updo, where do you seek your continuous styling education with bridal styling? I took Sharon Blaine's boot camp. Sharon Blaine is like an amazing woman. She's like probably in her 70s. Like she travels the world doing styling education. And honestly, like it was a lot of back to basics. Like, I was talking the other day, I was like, the basics will always lift you up. They will never let you down. So a lot of advanced education really is kind of getting back to the basics. Like we spent a whole day doing a whole head of like pin curls. Love it. Bring me back. Okay. If you want to start turning this into an updo, you can do one or two, and I'm just going to do one because we only have like 12-ish minutes left. You can start bringing that whole bottom part into a ponytail. And these are, like when it comes to little elastics, these are like these are equestrian elastics. These are like office elastics. No, it's like backwards, this thing. So I'm going to use the office elastics today. They're literally like what you would use for, to put some markers together or something. I wouldn't use them on a regular basis. Like she shouldn't be using them in her hair from day to day. Get a little like use a scrunchie or something. This is for special occasion only because it is too grippy to use all the time. Okay. And then since this was the end of my last piece, I'm just going to add a little clip so that I don't accidentally pull it apart. So I've got these doubled up. And you want this to be a super strong ponytail. So that way, when you kind of squeeze this, it doesn't go anywhere. If you squeeze your ponytail and it's like floppy, like it moves, you need to go tighter. So if I had not curled this, I would kind of twist it all in the same direction. But since I did curl this, I'm not going to mess with it too much. Do you see like I've got like mad grip going on naturally in the hair? So I'm going to add a little bit of the heat relief just to kind of give it a little bit more polish. And I have a lot of texture going on up here, right? So I need a lot of texture going on down here. I'm going to finish it off with another elastic. And we'll talk about this when I come to hang out with you guys. But think about if I didn't add this elastic, how many bobby pins would it take to do this? I would need a bunch, but because I have one single elastic, I have so much more hold because I don't have to get too many pins kind of in here. So your bobby pins, you want to be on this side of the elastic, not the tail side. And then you just kind of like do a thing. So I would go kind of corner, corner. So even though it's a bun, it's a rainbow, right? Corner, corner. And you just hide this guy underneath. So then you just kind of like play with it. Don't worry about these guys. We've got our boho on. And instead of holding it like this, entirely the guests didn't like it. How would you handle that situation? If you ask them questions as you work, you won't get to the end without knowing. So I would say, oh, do you want me to keep going? Do you want more? Do you like this height? Do you like it in the front? In the end, if she was like, I hate it, I hate everything about it, I would just say, okay, we can do it again. And I would just do it again. Because if you have steps, it's very fast. So you would have time. All right, let's see if we can finish this up in the last 9 minutes. Don't worry about these things. They stress people out, but don't worry about it. So instead of holding this like a basket, use your fingertips to press to the head in individual spaces. Wherever you have your finger, you're going to add your bobby pin, get down to the scalp, cross the grain of the hair. Get to the scalp, cross the grain of the hair. Now, I'm not done, but with 2 pins, I'm able to say, okay, I can deal. And then you can just kind of like roll your fingers around on it. Like, where do I need to add a bobby pin? Like, maybe I need one right here. You're getting to the scalp and you're crossing the grain of that hair. You know, maybe you like stuff like this. You know, you're kind of like talking to them. You're like figuring it out. You know, can you guys see that? So maybe that's a thing. Let's work on the side. You can find any small tails, which sometimes they look kind of cute hanging out. So that could be your decision. How long does an updo usually take me? I book for 45 minutes, but sometimes it takes me like 20 and I have to be like, so after you kind of get things where you want them, that's when you can add hairpins. And I'm not really necessarily trying to go into the scalp. I'm more of like adjusting the body of the updo. And if you find that your pin is poking out on the other side, you see, I don't know if you can see it, you can bend your pin a little bit. So then you can decide if you like these guys or you want to kind of pull them in. And the best way to pull these in is with the topsy tail, if I can find it. Check out what the other side looks like. For an updo, it starts at 120. But my rent is very scary. So any tails you have going on, you can just pull those back. I want you guys to see. So those were my little tails that were kind of sticking out here. And just arrange it around. Do you guys have any other questions for now? So see this long guy? I'm just going to continue to weave them back and forth because I don't want that hanging out around. We've got 5 minutes. Let's see, did I get stuck on something? Here we go. So after you finally are happy with it, you get everything kind of going on. I would go slip thin grip, honestly. So slip. This is the heat relief. Because that allows you to like slide your comb around anywhere that you want. The light really changed during this whole thing. And you can kind of pull stuff out if you want to. But I would go incrementally because you don't want to pull things out and then you have to kind of backtrack. That's when I would kind of use my pins to, get everything exactly where I want it. I guess this is there we go. Is that better? Arranging things. And I would finish with Brilliant. So I'm doing a lot of tutorials right now because I'm in the house. So if you want, you guys can join me like over on Instagram because I'm there all the time. And of course, like if she wanted little pieces, she could have had little pieces. It's really about what she wants. But I hope you guys learned a little something. And it's so adjustable. So you can just kind of start wherever you start, and you can kind of build. So we'll kind of talk about a lot of that stuff later. Let's see. I feel like there's one piece that's bugging me. All right, let's see. 2 minutes. Last call for questions. You're welcome, you guys. Yeah, you always have to check the angles. Like right now I'm looking at like this part's a little bit weird. So a way that you can check all the angles is to take your phone out and take a little video. Because sometimes when you're looking at it with your eyes, you can't see all the stuff. So if you take like a little 15-second video, then you can really find where your flaws are. Like I had this girl and she had like the flower garden in her hair, and I thought that all the flowers were kind of there, but when I took the little video with my phone, I realized that there was like one white flower like sticking out. So I just had to like mash that in. And the other thing is, if you show them your little video or one quick photo on your phone before you give them the mirror, it tricks their brain into believing that you nailed it, because it's really hard for the guest to bring you something flat and glowing, one-dimensional, to then go between two mirrors in 3D in a weird spatial thing. So when they bring you phone and you deliver them back phone, it looks the same, then give them the mirror. But honestly, concentrate on this, and I will see you guys in June. Yeah, so let me know if there's anything. So reach out on Facebook, or not Facebook, I'm never on Facebook. Reach out on Instagram if you need anything or have any other questions, you guys. And thanks for having me. Thank you. I wonder if they're going to take
Hi. Hi guys, it's Samantha. I'm from the Aveda Institute Madison. I'm the team lead and also a cosmetology and barber educator. I am here to happily introduce Cathy. She has completed her nursing degree and began her career in the field of plastic surgery, working with both private practice and in academic settings. Her love for plastic surgery and the nursing career led her to the field of non-surgical aesthetics, becoming both plastic surgical nursing and aesthetic nurse specialist certified. She is just amongst just a few nurses in the US that have earned both of these certificates. Her experience in the art and science of facial aesthetics makes her a highly sought after nurse injector, and we are happy to have her on Beauty Cares. Here's Cathy.
Hi, everybody. Like she said, my name is Cathy, and I've been injecting since about 2002. I just love the creativity of the aesthetics, and also helping someone if they have flaws or even scars. I'm going to treat this scenario like you just came to me, you're brand new, and you are looking to see what are options for you. A medical spa or MediSpa is a brick and mortar establishment that is a medical establishment with a plastic surgeon. You have RNs, you have estheticians that are using medical grade FDA approved products and instrumentation and lasers. You do need the medical director, which is the plastic surgeon for Skin Bar RX, to actually be able to order these products or buy these products. It's better than, let's say, if we were shopping at Walgreens. I'm not picking, just pick a place where we guys shop. You can sort of see Target too, like their beauty aisles are huge. The difference between MediSpa products are their medical grade. Medical grade means that the FDA has approved us to have more of a concentration of a product, more powerful, more changing something that is a need for correction. That is the difference between if we went to Walgreens, you're going to spend $20 on a wrinkle cream. You might spend $50 on a wrinkle cream at a medical MediSpa. The difference is that there's more of a concentration, you use less, and you're going to see better results. So I don't understand why people are spending $400 or $500 at Macy's or anything like these for these wrinkle creams. Also for Botox, you need the medical director. Fillers, Cindy next week will be talking about lasers, so I'm not really going to be talking about lasers. And the chemical peels that we will be having. Some of the instrumentation that we will be having at Skin Bar RX, also you do need a medical director's signature. So you're brand new, you're coming here, and I have a picture that we are going to start with. Someone is coming, they're in their 20s, or they're in their 20s, and they're asking me am I good for Botox? Yes, you are a candidate in your 20s for Botox because we're going to start doing prevention of any kind of lines here, prevention of any kind of crow's feet here. People always say, I don't understand how much Botox will I need, and I'm trying to get that in there for you. Botox is comes in a liquid form. Botox is not a filler. Botox is usually, most likely, I always tell patients from here on up and from here on down is a filler. Botox comes to us freeze-dried. I get to reconstitute it with injectable saline. I can sort of make my own concentration. Botox is sold in units, just like if you have friends or family that has diabetes, insulin comes in units. It's just the way we measure, you could say like a drop. Each muscle in your face has a minimum that Botox needs to prevent the muscle from firing. A good way of explaining how your muscle, if we go back to our anatomy, Botox is putting an invisible shield around a muscle. So if this is the nerve, it's signaling the muscle to move. It's electricity. At the ends of the little nerve endings, it's secreting a chemical called acetylcholine. The acetylcholine is sort of like spark plug, jump starting this muscle to move. When you inject Botox into this muscle, Botox is putting an invisible shield around this muscle. So when the brain says move this muscle, the electricity is still coming down and it is secreting the acetylcholine, but that invisible shield is preventing it for muscle movement. So each muscle has sort of like a number of units that has been shown not to be able to pick up the acetylcholine. Here, for example, is our 11s, which I don't have anymore because I've been a Botox user since about 2002. And again, that was prevention back in my 30s. Your brain still says move, but the muscle isn't moving. What else do I want to tell you about? Botox is injected in a very, very small insulin syringe. It's the finest needle that man has made. It's a 31 gauge, sometimes even 32 gauge if I can get those. And we are going to be injecting, let's say, let me get here. I'm going to come on this side. It says right here, she's going to get anywhere from 10 to 25 units to prevent this from moving. Prevention, you're looking at how strong is this muscle. Even in your 20s, you could be a very, very, very strong muscle glabellar area. People that are on the computer a lot, people that wear glasses or even contacts, you're going to see very, very strong muscles in here. So a 20-year-old versus let's say a 30-year-old, maybe that 30-year-old has even weaker. So the weaker muscles. So you have two different people that will be getting two different amounts of Botox to make that muscle not move. Does that sort of make sense? I hope that's making sense to you. You could have a bodybuilder. I've injected bodybuilders before. They are so strong in their face because they've been lifting, all these weights for years. It's almost, if I use the word Herman Munster, no one's going to know because I'm dating myself, but a very strong muscle in here, almost like a ridge. He might be using 5 to 10 times the amount of Botox than someone in their 30s because you need that Botox amount to put an invisible shield around that muscle mass. So I have a question. What happens if you decide to stop getting Botox? We're going to go back a few. Botox takes 2 weeks to take its full effect. So I will inject you. I have instructions that we'll go over in a second. Takes 2 full weeks for Botox to take its full effect. Botox will last about 3.5 months. Some people say 4 months. Everyone's a little bit different. If you fall in love with Botox, just like hair coloring or a new highlight, you're going to fall in love with it. Most of my clients do fall in love with it. You just come back about 3 months later, and I'll reassess and we'll re-inject. If you do not like Botox, the muscle has atrophied. That means the muscle hasn't been moving, so it just got a little weaker, but it wears off and you start making those muscles again. It just goes right back to before than if you had Botox. I hope that that's sort of like explaining that one. Yes, you can still, the question is, can you still receive treatments such as facial massage, cupping if you're a Botox user? Yes. What you want to do before Botox treatment, you have to not exercise. You need to sort of refrain from any kind of blood thinning products. That means aspirin, Aleve, fish oils. Just because I'm making small little injections, I don't want you to have a bruise or anything like that. Don't work out the day of the injection because your heart rate's been up. But after a Botox treatment, you can have nothing done to your face. That means no massaging, no face into a massage table, no goggles if you're going to be going swimming or skiing, no hats that come down here in the wintertime. A lot of people wear their thick hats down here. If you're getting Botox in your forehead, anywhere around the crow's feet or in this area, you want Botox to be left alone. You do not want it to be mushed or manipulated to an adjacent muscle. What happens is there's a potential for Botox going to an adjacent muscle, and we don't want that. Are there any negative side effects? Not really negative side effects. One is you're going to have a little wheal, what we call a little raised bump for about 20-30 minutes. I really, really, really try not to bruise anyone. You do have vessels here, and especially in here, if you really look at yourself in the mirror, look at a friend, you're going to see like a highway of little blood vessels here. I really, really try not to bruise, so that would be a negative. It has been reported that some people do get a headache, maybe within the first hour or two after receiving Botox. That headache can last about 24 hours. That a Tylenol will take care of it. Each treatment of a Botox, so let's say I had Botox today, 3 months, I come back and I have Botox again, that is another individual treatment. So you can say I've never bruised, myself, but maybe this time I might bruise. Maybe I might get that headache, but the headache is not to worry about. It's totally acceptable that the Tylenol can take care of it, or even something caffeine. Another thing, after a Botox treatment, you cannot lay down flat for 4 hours. Reason is that you could be side lying or face lying into a pillow, and we don't want that Botox to move to an adjacent muscle. How long after Botox? I would wait 24 hours after a Botox treatment. You can go on your life. You can have facials. You can have acupuncture. You can have anything like that. So after you get Botox, you can never get, no, yes, you can. It's just 4 hours. I don't want you touching your face. The next day, you can go ahead and you can have anything you can go on with your life. We just don't want that Botox to be manipulated. So I hope that clarifies that. It is 4 hours with no touching, no manipulating. After that, the next day, you can go ahead and do whatever you'd like. Botox. So to go answer the question about a massage, you can get a massage the next day. Yes, here is another question. The more a person does undergo Botox treatments, essentially, do the number of units decrease? In theory, yes. In the beginning, you're going to be getting sort of the average to above average a number of units. So you have 3 muscles here. So the average person is getting anywhere from 20 to 30 units. Usually 10 units in this muscle, 10 units in this muscle, and 10 units in this muscle. You're going to be getting 1 injection, 1 injection, 1 injection, 1 injection, 1 injection, 1 injection. So that's 6 small little injections, because there's 3 muscles. You want sort of like the tail and the tail of the muscle. So you're just distributing, I can't even say that word. Using that Botox in those areas. If you do get a bruise, the bruise can last anywhere from 3 to 5 days. And it almost looks like an eraser head, ashen gray. It's not going to be black or blue or purple or anything like that. And if you do have a cover up little stick, just like if you're covering up a pimple or a blemish or anything like that, that will be okay. I hope that helps. Yes, I've injected cosmetic Botox. Then there's therapeutic Botox. Therapeutic is for like a neurologist, someone that will help people with pain or even the migraines. Therapeutic Botox, made by the same company, but it is classified under as therapeutic, will help people with migraines. However, when I've injected cosmetic Botox, people, I would say 95% has said that their headaches are less, and their migraines are even less in a month's time. If they want to continue seeing me, that's great. But if someone is severely like crippled by their migraines, I would refer them to a neurologist to help them combat those migraines. I hear it helps with excessive sweating. Yes, I've injected when I worked at the medical college. I did inject people for hyperhidrosis, which means excessive sweating. I've seen people under their arm, in their axillary area. I've seen people. We had a lady that had a external hearing aid implant right here, and she suffered from hyperhidrosis in this area. I've seen people in their face, cheeks. I've seen people with salivary glands. We've done Botox. The hyperhidrosis is a medical condition. Most insurances now are covering that. So you would need to see someone that does billing medically, a plastic surgeon or a dermatologist. You would need about 50 units under each armpit to have that work for you. There's a grid that you have to draw on. You are going to have 50 units, and you're probably going to have about 25 small little injections. If you do have hyperhidrosis under the arm, I've also suggested to people to start looking into laser hair removal. The sweat gland and the hair gland are very close together. And if you're destroying that hair follicle, or you're trying to destroy that hair follicle, most likely you're injuring the sweat gland. And people have said that has helped slightly to even, like a moderate change. But I do have people that were coming to me at the medical college regularly, like probably every 5 months, or usually about 6 weeks before they would be going someplace warm, Florida, the Bahamas, someplace like that. So they weren't doing a lot of sweating. TMJ issues. TMJ issues are usually in the joint area. It is sometimes classified as masseter. You have a muscle here. It's the strongest muscle right here. If you clench, you can feel it. It's what gives people, you can tell that if they're a clencher, they have more of a square jaw, not an oval or a round. Sometimes when I do, or actually when I do inject into the masseter muscle, I start with about 20 units on each side. That sort of takes the strength out of that masseter, so you're not clenching as much. And some people, I would say the majority of people say that that has helped. I would, a neurologist or a dentist that has experience in TMJ, not just a regular dentist. You want to find someone that is actually experienced with TMJ, where you could be actually injecting a little bit closer to the joint in the muscles. But yes, I have injected in the masseters, and people said, yeah, the tension is gone. Also in here, the tension, when we were getting migraines, combination of this, and crow's feet sort of help relax your face. Like relaxing the muscle. They're not so strong and so intense. And let's see, I've heard the more you get Botox through the years, the less effective it becomes. That is coming out in our organization, the International Society of Plastic and Aesthetic Nurses, sort of in our closed Facebook group or chats. Over long periods of time, they're saying that our bodies could potentially build up antibodies against Botox. We do, as you know, the aesthetics world, there are other, if you want to say, brands of Botox. There is Dysport, there is Xeomin, and there is like 2 other ones shortly on the market. So if Botox doesn't work, I will, actually, I've never had someone, knock on wood, say like my Botox has stopped working, but that doesn't necessarily say, like my friend, you know, in California who has been an injector as long as I have, that she has some patients that, you know, like the Botox isn't working. You sort of want to look at all, you just don't want to jump to conclusions is what I'm trying to say. Did you mix the Botox correctly? Was the Botox injected into the muscle? You sort of want to do like a redo to see how that Botox, if it's just didn't set up correctly in the first time, you want to do it the second time. So if you do have someone, you can try Dysport or Xeomin and see if you get a good response. I have had Dysport and I have had Xeomin. I get amazing results too with those products. Botox, what I've seen throughout the years or my career is that the more you stay on your 3 to 4 month routine, you use the correct dosage, you follow my instructions. Usually by the time you're going into your second year, you're needing less units in that muscle. In that one specific muscle, you don't need 10, you might need 8, you might need 6, because that muscle is so starting to be very atrophied. So it's not as strong. It's not coming back. You're keeping it at that atrophied state. So less Botox. And then you're also noticing that, wow, I don't need it at 3 months. Look, I still can't make my 11 or, you know, movement. Oh, look, it's 4 months. I still can't, you know, it's 5 months. Oh, look, it's starting to fire a little bit. So at 5 months, then people are coming back and I'll assess that muscle strength. And hopefully we're using less Botox and you're going longer down the road without another additional treatment. When many spas offer discounted Botox, do they typically dilute the product? It all depends. That's a very tricky question. If you go to a very reputable medical spa, You know that they're getting the product directly from the manufacturer. There's no middleman. I should put a public safety announcement out here right now. Botox and derma fillers are the #1 counterfeited products coming to the United States on the West Coast. I'm not picking on China, but that's where it's coming from. The FDA has their arms full with that. That if you're going to a Botox party, if you're getting it through a third party, not directly from the manufacturer, that is where you're getting the problems. The problems, you don't know what they're being injected with. You don't know what's in that vial. Just so be very, 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 be a very smart consumer. You want to be sure that you're with a board certified plastic surgeon, a board certified dermatologist, a board certified ocular facial plastic surgeon, ENT, because they have standards, just like I do and my organization does, that we will cause no harm. And when people sort of have these parties or saying come for $5 a unit, be very, very, very leery. Are they in a strip mall in, the back of a shoe store? Do you know what I mean? Just be very, 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 very careful. What's the other questions here? What are all the areas of the body you can inject Botox into? Head to toe. I started out in surgery I was a surgical assistant, first assistant in the 80s. Orthopedic surgeons use Botox on orthopedic cases, very large muscles, people that had muscle spasms, or people that, had disease where they were so tight, contracted, that if you inject hundreds and hundreds of units into these muscles, the muscles then would relax. I've seen people get vocal cord injections. You probably have never seen it or heard it, but people that have spastic vocal cords, you can actually inject Botox. How Botox was discovered for cosmetic use was people that had blepharospasms. That means their eyelids just twitched. It was usually one eyelid, and it just fluttered. And two dermatologists in New York, the Carruthers, said, let's put some Botox here to see if we can get the spasms to stop. And as they were doing all these studies, they started noticing, look, there's no wrinkles on this side, and look at all the wrinkles on this side. So they contacted Allergan, long story short, and then they did trials, and then it was passed by the FDA for Botox for cosmetic reasons. I don't know if I can scroll down. I can't scroll down. Sorry, guys. Before I'm going to talk about the difference between Botox and fillers in a minute. When I do Botox for an injection, no makeup, I'm going to wipe the areas clean with makeup wipe. I usually use a Huggies wipe. I will use alcohol. I'm going to make sure that your skin is clean. There's no active acne. There's no recent injury to the area. In the beginning, years ago, when I did start doing Botox or injecting Botox, I would have the patient make their muscles so I can almost outline, draw exactly where the muscles were to make sure I was in the right area. I inject, like I said, 1, 1, 1, 1. Usually for crow's feet, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. You can also do the masseter, like I told you. I always explain to people you can get Botox injected into your chin. The older we get, our chin starts turning up and you start getting a very deep crease here. And it also starts looking poda orange, which is a dimpling of the skin. And by injecting Botox into this these two little muscles, it helps relax. You get a smoother line here, and you don't get that Poto orange look, which looks like an orange peel. Where else can you do Botox? When I just left St. Luke's, they're doing a FDA study for people that have had trauma to the abdominal wall, where the rectus abdominis muscle goes into twitching or it's too tight, and they're starting to inject Botox there. I've seen people get Botox injected into their feet for excessive sweating. I've seen them in their hands. Raynaud's syndrome, where it's the cold that affects the hands, where you have decreased blood flow, where actually the fingertips are actually purple. I worked with hand surgeons, which are plastic surgeons. I mean, they can be injecting Botox into these areas. And it is immediate. For some reason, it was immediate. And I just wish we would have filmed it back in the day to see how it just opens up blood flow. How can you Botox? Is Botox for all skin types and conditions? Skin types, yes. There are, when you come see me, I'm assessing your skin, your thickness of your skin. Do you have dry skin? Do you have thin skin? Do you have thick, oily skin? Are you a man? Are you a woman? I'm taking all that into consideration, and that is going to play or have a direct impact on how many units I'm going to be using for a certain area. Thick, oily skin needs more Botox than someone that has dry, thin skin. Someone of like a male, like I explained that to you before, males usually tend to use a little bit more Botox than women. But if you're a woman that's a bodybuilder, you're probably going to need more Botox, if that makes sense. How can you verify that you're getting authentic product? You just want to make sure that when you go, before you go, you're going to look on the website. Do they have a board certified plastic surgeon? Do they, is there some kind of acknowledgement that they have Allergan Botox, or they have Dysport product, or Dysport like Botox? You want to go to Brilliant Distinction. Brilliant Distinction is Allergan's reward system for a patient, like for one of you guys. That is like a frequent flyer coupon deal with the company. So you would go to Allergan, you would go to Brilliant Distinction, you would enroll, it's free of charge. You can punch in your zip code, and it's going to pull up all the establishments that have Allergan product. And that's another way of checking. You want to ask questions. Where do you get your Botox from? You know, if they say, well, we get it from, you know, like name a pharmacy, you know, that's not good. You don't want to say we get our product from Canada either. That's, that is totally against the law. You can lose your license if you're injecting anything that has not been FDA approved. And if you're getting it outside the United States, that is a felony. You want to, what else? You can even ask to look at the bottle, the vial. You can go onto Allergan's website, and they'll tell you what to look for. There's a specific hologram that they have on the bottle. Like when you rotate the bottle, it's going to tell you what to look for in that hologram. So yeah, so if it's a Botox party, it's too good to be true. If you're going to Susie's house down the street, or if you're going to a hotel room, you know, because we're going to have some Botox, it's don't even go. Oh, I can show you. I can show you. This is a before and after someone that went to a Botox party. I know that's horrific. There was 4 women that went to a Botox party hotel, in a hotel room, and they have no idea what they were injected with. It took them months to recover, months. There was a story on a website where A couple went in New York City. They went to a Botox party thinking, oh, our best friend said, go try it because she had it done. They ended up in the intensive care unit on life support for 6 weeks. This is another before and after of bootlegged. I can't figure this out. Bootlegged product. And it's devastating. So if you're going to try to save a few bucks, if you're going to, put your life into someone else's hand, you really got to do your homework. You really, really got to do your homework. I have clients that are all over the country because they winter, down south. They come up here for the summer. What I will do, they reach out to me, the client will reach out to me and said, hey, I really think I need some Botox. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to go into my database where I know all my certified injectors are that have reputable establishments, and I'm going to connect you with them. And I have done that even if someone sort of left out of town when I told them not to go out of town too soon. I've had them connect with someone so they have someone in their pocket when they're down south. Yes, I've had people not faint, but get very lightheaded. And when I'm injecting as a nurse, rule 1 is you always want to watch your patient's breathing. And while I'm injecting, I take my time, but I get the job done. And if I see that you're holding your breath, I am going to be asking you to breathe, kind of a thing. So we're doing a lot. I'm laying you back. We can use ice on the neck. And people do get a little lightheaded, and that's totally fine. You get your worked up, about it, and it's vasovagal, just sort of like even if you were donating blood, I'm going to be doing all that assessing. What else do I want to tell you about Botox? Botox cannot be administered if you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding. It's FDA requirement. In Europe, there is no FDA, so there are women over there getting Botox and are breastfeeding. But here at the FDA or United States, we do not do that. The reason why is there has not been one study where a pregnant woman has volunteered to go through studies while they were pregnant to see if Botox causes any harm to the fetus or the baby. So right away, I don't do that. I don't even do it if someone promises me that they're going to pump for 2 weeks or anything like that. Nope. You got to be 100% done breastfeeding. If you have autoimmune diseases, I have to evaluate that. If I feel that I have to run it through our medical director, or if I got to get a letter from your physician just saying it's okay to receive a Botox or a filler treatment. I do that for fillers too. What else? Any kind of neuromuscular diseases, I really got to take a good in-depth look at that. History of Bell's palsy. We just really got to document muscle and muscle tone. What else? Botox, the whole treatment, you're going to fill out a questionnaire, sort of a short medical questionnaire. Like if you're coming to a brand new doctor, we review it together. We hold the mirror up to your face. I say, what is the number one area that bothers you the most? And usually people say here or here, my lips, my cheeks, my forehead lines. And, we'll sort of number them. If it's here's number 1, number 2 would be my forehead, number 3 here, number 4 here. What I always do is we're going to treat number 1 before we go to number 2, or we're going to say, like, is that in conjunction? Which leads me now to filler. Filler is, I'm trying to look for a little sheet for you. Oh, here's a good picture. I just wanted to show you about Botox. Let me just make sure. So this is someone's before and after. It's not my patient, but I thought it was really good. Same patient where it's the 11s right here, and then here's her forehead. This is 2 weeks after, and you see how smooth her forehead is and how she can barely make that 11. This is a young patient. if you had someone like me that came in and said, I want my forehead as smooth as possible, you have to look at aging. And I don't know if you can tell on here, but I'm trying to raise up. Always try to leave some muscle movement. I'm 55. I don't want to say that, but I'm 55. So my aging process has already started. We age this way and we age this way. If you ever look at your parents or your grandparents and they have really heavy brows, but they're always trying to walk around like this because they're trying to take the weight off because this is coming down. If I come in here and I just put the 20 units of Botox that this girl just got, guess what, people? I'm going to be like that. So each person is an individual. So your girlfriend can maybe have 10 units, and that girlfriend over there, maybe she has 6 units. Everybody's different. You have to check the weight of the muscle, the aging, the skin, all that plays a part of it. If that makes sense. I hope that does. What else do I want to show you? I'm going to put this out there for you. People sometimes get their upper lip injected with Botox, not filler. For very fine lines around the mouth, you can inject Botox because the lips are starting to purse in. So if you start putting Botox this way, right here, it's going to smooth this out, correct? So here are diagrams of where people are getting their Botox around their mouth. So, question. If I do that, 2 weeks go by, I'm going to be nice and smooth. But if that muscle can't move, what are the things I cannot do now? Think about it. If I was all wrinkly here, Botox set up, here's a question. It's pretty, I'm just making you guys think for a second. When you put Botox in there, what are the things that I wouldn't be able to do myself? Let's see. Oh, so I would talk to you. We talk about how many units you would need. Botox in the city of Milwaukee, probably in the state of Wisconsin, is anywhere from, I would say, $11 to $13. I would say the average person is getting anywhere from 30 to 60 units, depending on all the areas. The actual injection itself is literally 1, 2, this is as fast as it's done. I can't hold ice, but we usually don't numb after that. I do clean you off and you're on your way. I do not want makeup on in that area because makeup does have bacteria. Whoever just said use a straw, suck through a straw, pucker your lips, yes, and whistle. Good, you guys are catching on to like the muscle and how Botox prevents you from moving. Smiling is yes, but using anything like this. And before I inject like a new idea, thought process, I've always tried it. So when I injected my upper lip just to see what it was like or to get the lip flip, I could not believe that I couldn't even brush my teeth, like pucker your mouth around that. Drinking hot coffee in a car trying to get to work, I hated that. So I usually try to convince someone that a derma filler is a way to go. So let's talk about derma fillers because we're running out of time. So derma fillers, there are several different kinds of derma fillers on the market. I only use hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is a gel substance. It is made in our body. It's a cushioning agent. It's in our skin. It is in our joints. It's in our connective tissue. If you know anyone that is having knee problems or joint problems, they go to the orthopedic surgeon and they can get a hyaluronic acid injection because it's taking bone, it's bone on bone. You put a little of this hyaluronic gel in there and it's separating the bone so you're not bone on bone. It is a sugar-based material. I use the Allergan products, which are Juvederm, Juvederm Ultra, Juvederm Ultra Plus. There's Volure, there's Volbella, and then there's Voluma. Voluma has changed the whole world of derma fillers, in my opinion. But there are other products on the market. There's Sculptra. Sculptra will, it's biostimulant collagen produce. It produces collagen. It's a biostimulant. So you don't see results right away. Then there's Radiesse, which is calcium. It's almost like a putty. But I don't use that. Bellatero is a hyaluronic acid, which I have used and I will use at Skin Bar. So it's a hyaluronic acid. It's a gel. It's a cushioning agent. It's compatible to us. It is not human. It's not human derived. It is made in a sterile laboratory. It is, I think, probably the safest product out of all the products. The names that I told you guys about the hyaluronic acid is that they have their own properties. Each of the names of the fillers I just listed, I explain it like if we're in my kitchen and we were making Jell-O for tomorrow. The hyaluronic acid is the Jell-O. We add the water. We have, we're mixing it. We put it in the refrigerator for about an hour and take it out. It's starting to thicken, but it's still, you can pour it a little bit. That's one type of hyaluronic acid. We put it back in the refrigerator for like another couple hours. We pull it out. And now this is when your mom or your grandma says, now we can add the fruit. Sort of like it's clumpy. Do you know what I mean? You can, the fruit is suspended in there. We put the Jell-O in overnight and it's in a mold. We take it out the next morning and we flip it. And now we have this beautiful Jell-O mold. We can sit there and push on it. It holds its shape. It's like I can push down on it, but it's not going to fall apart, if you want to say. That's another type of hyaluronic acid. So that would be a Voluma. We go all the way to the other spectrum. Then we have Bellatero, which is a little bit more runny, if simple terms here. Each filler is designed for a specific area or a result that you want. As we age, you can see how things are falling down this way. We're losing fat structure. We're losing bone structure. Our fat pads are being reabsorbed. In our 20s is like the prime of your life. Once you hit 30, bone is starting to be reabsorbed. Jawbone is starting to be reabsorbed. Nasal bone is starting to reabsorbed. Fat pads we used to have are gone, especially right in here, are gone. And what can you do to help someone to restore that is fillers. What I like to do is I like to sort of concentrate in this area. It's not a facelift, but if we sort of start restoring up in here, we're going to start restoring. This is hard to do on the camera. We're giving that apple back. Does that make sense? We're giving that nice little apple back, not like a facelift, but we're giving like an apple back, a little bit more support around here. Downward turn. I'm in need of some filler. If anyone's listening, I need some filler here because there's a fat pad here and there's a fat pad here, and the downward turn is what we're going to need to support those areas. Every decade of life after 20, we're losing a teaspoon of fat in the face. So in our 30s, we've lost 2, 40s, 3, 50s, and so on. 1 syringe of a filler is 1 cc or 1 ml. So I'm letting you know this is a good chart. I'm trying to make sure I get there. If you guys can take a really good look at it. So if I come up to a client and I'm going to say, you know what, I'm looking at 3 to 4 syringes, people sort of get like sticker shocked, but it has to be in comparison to what we're losing as we're aging and what 1 cc is. 1 cc is 1/5 of a teaspoon. So that, I hope that explains, the loss. Here, you can put filler here. You can put filler along the jawline. I'm doing a lot now to give a stronger jawline. I'm going down in here to help give a little bit support. Lips are my favorite to do. Could you use a stimulant and immediate affecting product at the same time? I would separate those injections just because the stimulant, you're going to have swelling from that product, and vice versa. Like if you were using the filler before you did the Sculptra, it's going to be one or the other. Sculptra is a whole nother talk kind of a thing for what the time I do have today. My injector said there's issues with Volbella and Volure. I have stopped using Volbella and Volure 4 years now. I tried it on my models when it first came out. About 7 and 9 months after my models had the products, there were some small issues, and I took my oath and I said I caused no harm. I stopped using those products immediately that day. I am happy with my Juvederm Ultra, my Juvederm Ultra Plus, my Bellatero, and my Voluma. Bellatero is made by Merz, which is a different company. What type of filler would you use under the eyes? Bellatero. Bellatero is the most, I don't want to use the word liquid, but it is liquidy kind of a product, and it doesn't have a Tyndall effect. Tyndall means something's turning blue under the skin. The hyaluronic acids like Juvederm and Voluma, they have a blue hue under the skin if you inject too superficial. This skin right here is the thinnest skin on our body, and that's why you usually have sometimes you can see vessels, a little bit stronger than if you could see in your cheek. That's why I love Bellatero in this area, because it doesn't have that Tyndall effect, and it's just perfectly smooth for those areas. Filler, the longevity of the filler can go anywhere from 9 months to 2 years. It depends on the type of filler, and it depends on what kind of patient I have. Do I have someone that exercises every single day for a couple hours a day? Is she a triathlete, or does she swim long distances? That person will have a high metabolism and will burn through filler or product, whatever, they're even, like calories, they're burning through a lot. So the body is burning off hyaluronic acid because it's a sugar base. Your body's breaking it down to a sugar. So if I have someone like that, they're probably coming back like every 6 months to have their lip injected instead of 9 or 12 months. Voluma, which is for the cheeks, that is beautiful in this area because it helps here, and it helps the jowls. Instead of 24 months, they're probably coming back at like 12 to 16 months. But the average person is going to get the longevity of, anywhere from like 9 to 12 months for the Juvederm sides of that, to the Voluma, which is about 24 months. You can inject on top of the product. What does that mean? Let's say I had my lips injected 6 months ago, and now I'm starting to see that they're coming down a little bit, and I really want a little bit more volume, I can call up my injector. I can call up my injector. And if I assess it and we look at it, yes, you can put more hyaluronic acid in that area. So you can inject on that. One thing I don't like is this happened to me a couple weeks ago. I had someone that came to me. I'm also known in the city to help people that have had problems at other places where they weren't satisfied or they're in trouble. I've had some people that have had 4 different kinds of fillers injected underneath the eyes or in the eye area. I don't refuse to treat, but what I say is that we're going to have to reverse these products. That is probably the number 2 deciding factor why I like hyaluronic acid, is that we have the reversal in the fridge. We have an emergency kit, but also the Hylenex is a reversal for hyaluronic acid. Hylenex is hyaluronidase. So chemistry, ACE is going to eat an acid. So if someone comes and we don't, or I have to start from scratch, I'm going to be injecting the hyaluronidase, the Hylenex, to remove all that filler. It may take 2 or 3 treatments of me doing that just to melt that product away, because I don't know what you were injected, a year ago or 2 years ago, because most of the people aren't keeping track of what they're injected, but I don't know. So to be safe, I want to remove it. Another reason why I have Hylenex is that you are injecting into the face down through a muscle, on bone or in the dermal subcuticular area. You're injecting where blood vessels are. God forbid it is injected into a blood vessel. This is a thick product. It's going to stop the blood flow. What happens is that you can have tissue death. You have to have an astute, well-trained injector to realize that, this is what just happened. You keep your calm, you keep your cool, you immediately stop injecting, and that's why you have the hyaluronidase. Flood the area with that. You're working with your plastic surgeon or your medical director to reverse this. It's not immediate where you're going to have tissue death. It's not immediate. You have time, but I'm just letting you know that's why you have to really do your research. Do you have an emergency kit? Do you have hyaluronidase? Do you have Hylenex? Has this ever happened to you before? What are the signs and symptoms? For me, when I go home, is there a delayed onset? You have to have a good dialogue with your injector to make sure that, you're in a safe environment. That's why another reason why are you doing this in a hotel? How do you call someone in the middle of the night or call someone the next morning to say, hey, help me, but that injector just got on a plane to fly back to, Timbuktu. So there is an emergency kit. That's why I'm very strong about, patient education, a good dialogue to what have you had injected in the past. If you get filler under the eyes and you have dark circles, will it accentuate that? I'm looking at your skin as a whole before we do any kind of filler treatment. There are some things that we can do prior to injecting. Is there like a skin brightener? Ultraceuticals has the skin brighteners. We could take a look at that. Is it a laser? Cindy is going to talk about lasers. Is it more of a shadowing from hyperpigmentation? There's all different things, but sometimes when something's convex, like making a crater, things get shadowed. So if you come out, you sort of see that. I don't know. I'm trying to concave, you're going to create a shadow. If something's more rounded, convex, you're reflecting the light. So I would rather, see you one-on-one to determine what we all need to do. Filler prices. Usually filler prices are starting anywhere from $550 going all the way up to about $900. There's usually coupons through Brilliant Distinctions, and we'll take those right off the top. Look for specials. I will have a one-on-one with you for under the eyes. What are the other things quick? There's a consent process, there's photo process, and coming for a consultation with me is anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to an hour, all depending on what we're going to cover. The consultation with treatment, I have to make sure that you're not flying, you're not pregnant, you're not breastfeeding. What kind of reactions have you had in the past? What are your allergies? What are your medications? I had a lady come in, she was in her 30s, but God forbid she had a pulmonary emboli, which is you're on blood thinners for a year, not realizing that a 30-year-old is on blood thinners. I mean, we had to reschedule. I couldn't treat her until she was after she was done with the treatment with the blood thinners. So this isn't a one, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. This is really education. I'd be happy to speak with you guys again. You guys are going to be, answering questions for people. What do you think about Botox here? Or, do you know of like a reputable place? Really have people do their research. This is not, like I said, wham, bam, thank you, man. Safety is number one. As me as a nurse, I will cause no harm. I just want to say thank you. Are there any final questions that anyone has? I know it was a lot that I covered, but reach out to me. It's Cathy at skinbarrx.com if you have questions. And I just want everyone to be safe, healthy, stay at home, go for little walks, wash your hands. Hand sanitizer is not the key. It's the soap that's breaking down the fat layer on the coronavirus. And God bless everybody. Take care.